Calling the town council to order for Monday, October 23rd. George, want to do our prayer? Okay, defer to Sandy then.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to live in a democracy where we can voice our opinions freely, where we can gather to make decisions that affect our citizens. Please guide us in those decisions and protect our soldiers who have provided those rights to us. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
William Ellis,
Here.
Trevor Sager,
Here.
Scott Oldham,
Here.
Pamela Samples, Dan Swafford.
Here.
Approval of minutes for the regular meeting, October 16th, 2023.
Second.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Dan Swafford,
Abstain.
Pamela Samples. Motion carries.
Action to pay accounts payable, vouchers, and payroll.
So moved.
Second.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Pamela Samples. Motion carries.
Okay, resolutions, public hearing for resolution 13-2023, additional appropriation.
Yes,
And
this
this
has been advertised
Okay,
3 times. It's well advertised. And it is, I'm shaking like a leaf. $15,000 is, we're requesting that to help hire a new deputy clerk for payroll that would give them 2 months of training before Noel steps in as clerk treasurer. And $21,727.29 is for local roads and streets. That's equipment we've sold in the last year. And Mike, Kip is going to apply that to the purchase of his Freightliner. And then the American Rescue Plan is $744,999. That's money that, came to us through the government through a plan. And I appropriated it and I budgeted for it, but we didn't have contracts yet. So I lost the first year appropriation and had to reappropriate again. So probably more than you ever wanted to hear about that.
and to make it clear, this isn't spending money we don't have.
No,
This is just,
asking the state for permission to spend money that we do have.
okay. Council discussion? Public comment? Seeing none, council action?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 13-2023 regarding the additional appropriation.
Second.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Pamela Samples. Motion carries.
Okay, resolution 14-2023, transfer of funds and appropriations.
Okay, so our community crossing grant, we received from the state, and so we have to move the matching MVH restricted monies into a certain fund, the local road and bridge grant matching grant, and in order to pay our matching on that community crossing. State Board of Accounts dictates that it all come out of this local roads and bridge matching grant. So the money is appropriated in MVH. So that's why it's moving funds and appropriations.
Okay, council discussion on this? Seeing none? Public comment? Seeing none, back to council action.
Move we approve resolution 14-2023, the transfer funds and appropriations. Second.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Pamela Samples. Motion carries.
All right, resolution 15-2023, authorizing a loan for 4 Dodge Durangos for the police department to be purchased from LaPorte Chrysler. Is this you, George?
This is me.
Okay.
We have checked numerous locations. Alec over here is our vehicle man for the department. And originally we had bought 2 Tahoes last year. Because of the strike and some other economic issues that have come up, we have found that the Dodge Durango is probably approximately $15,000 cheaper. The Tahoes are continuing to go up in price, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the workers I think they're about to settle the strike, but it's like a 35% increase. I don't know that it'll settle at that, but it's gonna be a significant increase, and thus they're gonna put this increase on the consumers. So I think that's why the Tahoes almost immediately went up anywhere from 3 to 5%. So we decided on the Tahoes because, like I said, they're about $15,000 cheaper. We have all 4 of we're getting all 4, and I think we've appropriated a loan through the People State Bank, which is not, the first payment, I believe, is due in February the 1st, on February the 1st. Is that correct, Sandy? Is that your understanding?
Yes, it is after the first of the year, so I'd say February, yes.
So I think it's paid off in total of 4 payments. And Alex, did you have anything else to say about it? Okay, so that's about it in a nutshell. We plan on making the trip to LaPorte in the next couple of days and bring them back. They're all going to be marked units. There won't be any unmarked units among the 4 that we're bringing back.
Council discussion? Or actually,
This
Sandy,
also
you?
authorizes William to sign the loan documents.
Okay.
And it does state that the first payment is in February.
All right. Council discussion on this?
I mean, just to add what the deputy chief said, they're getting these at a really good price, and they are very difficult to find. The city just waited almost 2 years to get some of theirs on the road.
And from what Jimmy had said in his emails, that normally we have to replace 2 a year, so this is just, we're using that fund that would replace those to repay this. So it's just, we're getting them sooner, but it's not like we're getting extra vehicles.
You're actually saving money because we're seeing about a 10 to 12% rise
Yep.
every year.
Yep.
And that's even at the government price.
We have a new SRO officer coming on soon that will need one of these vehicles, and then next year it's in the budget to hire an additional officer, so 2 new positions coming.
All right, any other council comments? Seeing none, public comment? Seeing none, down to council action.
I make a motion to accept Resolution 15, 2023, authorizing a loan for 4 Dodge Durangos for the police department to be purchased from LaPorte Chrysler.
Second.
William Ellis?
Yes.
Trevor Sager?
Yes.
Scott Oldham?
Yes.
Dan Swafford?
Yes.
Pamela Samples? Motion carries. And it's my understanding they'll be able to pick those vehicles up this week once we get our check for them.
That's correct.
All right, no ordinance is on first reading. Ordinance is on second reading. Ordinance 2023-14, requiring developers to post bond for existing streets. Is this you, Darla, or Denise?
This is one I would suggest that the town council table because I am still looking for examples of appropriate language that would address the town council's concerns about the bond not being a burden for some of the smaller developers and being able to target a little more clearly what roads and streets we're talking about when a construction project, or I mean a subdivision project is going on. So I found a couple of examples. I sent a request out on the listserv, municipal lawyers listserv, to see what other communities were doing. And I have a couple of examples that I think will address the town council members' concerns, but I have not had the chance to put that together yet, so.
Denise, do you want to add something?
No, we're still reviewing it. Darla sent us some examples.
Okay.
I make a motion, we table ordinance 2023-14 for requiring developers to post bond for existing streets.
Second.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
sorry, Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Pamela Samples.
Yes.
I make this little chart out and it really helps me fly right through those and somehow I missed that line.
Sounds like you're flying through.
All right. Motion carries, correct?
Yes,
All right. All right. Ordinance 2023-15, general obligation bond ordinance. If you want to come up and state your name for the record, where you're from, and
Good evening, everyone. My name is Matt Eckerly. I am with Baker Tilly out of Indianapolis. We are the town's municipal advisor for this transaction, or this proposed transaction, I should say. I know tonight you're contemplating the adoption of a bond ordinance, which would be the authorizing document for the issuance of bonds. I'm happy to answer what questions I can on the bond ordinance itself, but I will qualify that I'm not an attorney. I didn't prepare the document, though I did review it. What I do want to speak from is the financial analysis that we prepared, and I provided copies to Sandy. I think she's passed them out to this group. It's dated October 6th of this year. And what this document lays out is just some of the basic information surrounding the proposed bond issuance. And I'm not going to go through each page. Please feel free to ask any questions you may have as I'm running through this. If I don't hit on something you want to drill into, I'm going to try to keep to the high points, but happy to dive into details if this group so desires. So what I'm going to start on page 2 is just the estimated sources and uses or project costs and funding. What's being proposed is an even $1.5 million bond issuance. When you account for the transaction costs, which total about $110,000, that leaves about $1.39 million for actual project costs. I know we've worked through that with Mike and Sandy and a few of you. What that means, I'd leave it to them to really discuss the specific projects, but that's what we're looking at today. Page 3 is the illustrative amortization of that $1.5 million bond. I will point out a couple of things. We're assuming that the bonds are going to be dated or close in December of this year. The town has instructed us to utilize the Indiana Bond Bank's Community Funding Resource Program, so we've been in contact with the bond bank. The assumed interest rates here were indicative rates provided by the bond bank at the beginning of this month. I will say that we priced bonds with the bond bank last week, and rates had moved up a tick from where they were earlier this month, and that's kind of tracking with the overall market. But when you take into account the difference in transaction costs, the bond bank program is cheaper than going through the capital markets. It really washes out with the rate, and I'll say just from a procedural standpoint, the bond bank program is much more efficient than going to the capital markets because you don't have to deal with ratings agencies, preparation of detailed offering documents and the like. So as we receive additional feedback from the bond bank, we'll be sure to update these. Obviously, with the pricing not being until really December, we'll just continue to monitor. We did submit on behalf of the town and after review by the town last week to the Indiana Bond Bank the formal application for this program, and it will be contemplated at the bond bank's November 8th meeting. So we will attend that meeting representing the town to answer any questions that the bond bank may have, and anticipate everything to go smoothly on that front based on recent experiences with that group. What I really want to focus on is page 4. which lays out the estimated debt service tax rate for the town, accounting for your outstanding lease rental bonds, which includes the 2023 or the 2013 lease rental bonds, which actually mature after this year. And then you have the 2016 lease rental bonds, which are coming on to the tax rolls starting in 2024. And then layering on this bond issue. So you'll see, I want to draw your attention to a few things. On the far right column, we have the estimated tax rate. This is the estimated property tax rate that will be paid by taxpayers here in Ellettsville for just this chunk of the town's budget, so the debt service itself. You'll see in 2022, the estimated lease rent, or not, these are certified, the actual lease rental tax rate for 2022 was 8.32 cents per $100 of assessed value. For 2023, that tax rate went down to 4.12 cents. And that's primarily due to the increase in assessed value for the town of Ellettsville of about 33.5% from 22 to 23. Those the lease rental amounts really didn't change materially. You had some reserve funds going into there to lower a little bit of the cash that you needed. But that 33% increase in assessed value for the town, which obviously this body has no control over, that put downward pressure on the tax rate because you're spreading that levy out over a larger tax base. So heading into 23, you've got that 4.12 cent tax rate. Heading into 24, you saw another 7% increase in assessed value for the town. When you layer on, excuse me, when you layer on this proposed bond issue and the debt service levy for that, you are seeing, we're estimating a tax rate of approximately 6.6 cents per $100 of assessed value, or a difference of about 2.47 cents per $100 of assessed value. What does that mean to the average taxpayer? The median home value in Ellettsville, based on the most recent census data released, was $166,600. When you account for the homestead deduction, the supplemental homestead deduction, you apply that 2.47 cent difference to a net value of $77,090. That results in an annual impact of about $19. So I know that that was a question of this body, and I wanted to make sure that we answered that today.
And I do want to clarify, we factored, at our meeting, we actually put that towards some of our property tax assessments. And what we found is that the assessment growth that this new rate's going to impact is we have about $6 million worth of new assessment, new properties coming on. So the current taxpayers, they're really not going to see any, on average, I mean, obviously you can't get it down to the micro level.
Yeah.
But on average, they're not going to see any change from this because this is just flipping over an existing bond, and that extra tax growth, the actual new construction that's finally getting on the tax rolls has lowered it. Wouldn't you guys agree if that's what we saw when we figured it all out?
We use pencil and eraser, so that's about right.
Well, no, it actually wiped it out because we have 6 million, but I mean, it's going to depend on your assessment deductions too.
Yeah.
But on average, we're seeing less than the 19, that's assuming all that was existing people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of holding everything else constant.
Yes,
just
exactly.
looking
All
at
things
the
being
median home
equal.
value.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, but obviously there's different levers turning on different properties. And plus you don't know what the tax rates are going to do for the county, the library, the school district. There's a lot of those gears. But when you're just isolating this, correct, yeah.
All we were talking about was this alone, not their total tax burden.
Sure. So, I mean, overall, that's what we're estimating. Obviously, if you continue to see the assessed value growth in the community in future years, that's going to put additional downward pressure. Obviously, there's no guarantees on that front. But I did drive by a lot of new construction on my way into town today that looks like it's going to be assessed as of January 1 of 24. So we'll continue to monitor that as you're developing future budgets and completing additional financial plans, and just see how all of this operates. The subsequent pages really are more backup information. I don't really want to dwell on those. It's the amortizations of your outstanding obligations, the breakout of how the 2016 bonds are being paid, and then information on the different thresholds that you have to contemplate when you're issuing property tax debt. Obviously happy to answer any questions on those, but really the most germane elements are the sizing of this bond, the payments, and the taxpayer impact. So I'm happy to answer any questions that this group might have on this information.
Yeah. Any questions from council? Going once, going twice, none? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any council discussion on this? All right, any public comment? Council action.
I'll move approval of ordinance 2023-15, a general obligation bond ordinance.
Second.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Pamela Samples. Motion carries.
All right, Mike, flood report.
Well, we're having good weather, so there, I don't know, there may be 3 or 4 weeks from completion. Could be a little longer than that, depending on what the weather does, but everything's went really well. We removed sewer and placed it away from the project, so we upgraded it while we was doing that work, so everything's going really good.
All right.
And plus, pardon?
We don't want to invite Murphy into this program.
No, and I will add that the function of it, is yet to be seen, but it is improved our aesthetics downtown as well. So, big deal too.
Envision Ellettsville, Dan.
We'll be having a combined task force meeting tomorrow from 3 to 4:30 here at Town Hall. And that's the combination of the business gathering and connectivity task forces. And would like to invite anybody who's interested to come on down and participate.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much. All right, don't see any old business. Any new business? Seeing none. Privilege of the floor, anything public wants to say? Come on up. State your name for the
My
record.
name is Jim Perry, and I live at 867 Abigail Lane in Ellettsville. And one of the concerns some of the people, particularly along Abigail, is the speed. It's posted at 20. We have one of our neighbors across the street was screaming at somebody who was going maybe 50. But one of the problems is obviously people coming into the neighborhood move from off 46, but they don't come immediately onto Abigail because of the other connecting road. Probably a bigger problem is McNeely, where people are going. McNeely's posted at 35. The average speed there is probably more like 45. And when they turn down the road, especially those of us walking with a cane and our dog trying to cross the street, are often in jeopardy. But there are a lot of little kids now along the road. So my hope is that we could get some attention to lowering the speeds to the posted rate at 20 miles an hour. We did have a speed radar device at the top of the hill, which my neighbors thought was highly effective. It lasted about a week. It's gone. I understand we have at least one that's owned by the town of Ellettsville. If it's not in use, it would certainly be helpful to post that regularly along that road there so we don't have to remind the people who are bearing down on us on Abigail that the posted speed is 20. I did encounter a person last week who was ignorant of the posted speed, even though there are multiple signs along the roadway. And of course, that wasn't something we bought into, because it was the connection with the other street was done after we purchased our home 8 years ago. So some speed calming devices would be helpful. We know we have another neighborhood next to us with speed bumps. They're not particularly attractive, nor are they all that effective, although they do slow the traffic down in that area for whatever reason they were instituted. But the person at the top of our hill, her husband had a stroke. He's relatively immobile. We've got a 2-year-old across the street with another one on the way, and lots of kids, as you're probably aware, in that neighborhood, both in Overbrook Estates as well as Ruby Creek 1 and 2.
So was that where you had the, okay.
Kip, could we put the speed strips out so we can determine the breadth of the problem? Sorry.
I was waiting for him to answer.
Yeah, I get it.
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah.
It's been a long day, sorry. So when Kip gets around to it, we can have him put it
I
out.
did stop by the police department a couple of weeks ago and asked, whether we could get some radar on there to perhaps generate, perhaps enforced honesty on the part of drivers on that street, but nothing happened.
Well, we have a speed device, and I was talking to Sergeant Davis earlier today. It had a meltdown.
I was on Deer Run.
We go in and change out a bunch of wires, but we will get that
It's not true.
back installed on Abigail.
Yeah, it was on the top of Abigail where it turns into Ruby Creek 1, I think. It might be better to put it at the, or to move it, but keep it there for longer periods of time to continuously remind people of what the speed limit is. I also spend 4 months a year in resort area in Wisconsin, and they're quite effective devices for reminding people coming into the area what the speed limit is, and they're quite effective. And my neighbors think they're quite effective too.
We'll see about getting that back as soon as we get ours fixed. It shouldn't take a long time.
Yeah, I did check the for the new Tahoes we're getting. We can get about 5 to 8 of them for one Tahoe. Not to say I want to sort of defer your replacement of the cars, but this is an issue I'm going to raise with Dan's group maybe tomorrow. I don't know if it's tomorrow. I think clearly the speeds on the roads in Ellettsville are part of the branding of the town, which I've not heard anybody talking about. But I know on Union Valley Road, McNeely, Abigail, and Highway 46, the speeds are high, and they're also dangerous. I say that partly from personal experience, where my wife was hospitalized for more than 2 weeks and had a $45,000 accident that totaled her new Tucson, Hyundai Tucson. So it's not like we don't have personal experience with this, but if we're going to be responsive to the citizens and brand the community in ways that are meaningful for creating sort of impressions that are positive about the community, something needs to be done about the speeds and the perceived safety. It's not saying we don't have a problem or we can't locate a stoplight at a particular intersection because we haven't had a sufficient volume of accidents. It's perceived safety and perceived speeds, and that's sort of what's consequential for creating positive impressions about the town. Good.
If you'll have me wind up, and I'll get some information.
Okay, good. I forgot my business card.
That's okay.
I know my number.
Thank you so much, Mr. Perry. Anyone else from the public? Okay. Supervisor comments.
I think I'll speak for Kit. Who's not here. Well, I just wanted to mention it's leaf season, so I think it's a little late this year, best I can tell. But if people need to get their leaves down to where crews can get to them, if you don't know where you're at on the schedule, you can call into the town hall or the street department, and we'll let you know. But it is leaf season, so.
We did get a call on that, and I don't have a schedule, so if we need to get information out, we need to receive that.
We'll talk to Kip and make sure that happens. That's all I
Can you
have.
make sure that, oh. George?
It works all the time.
I know. Do you have anything?
No.
Okay. Kevin?
Just for the record, I've been here 35 years and Kip's been here 35 or 36, and we interchange quite often with names, so not a problem. Yeah. I sent you guys an email earlier today, and I just wanted to let everybody know that Mike Corman, the Northside Exchange Club, does a recognition of firefighters every year. They also do one for law enforcement, but the firefighter, Mike Corman's name was submitted as Lifetime Achievement Award. Sorry, had a moment there. Lifetime Achievement Award, and he was awarded that. It's the Dave Hamilton, which was a Bloomington City firefighter, retired as deputy chief, and had a lot of different organizations and so on. And Mike fell right into that. We had about a page and a half of things that Mike has done over his continuing career, so they just summarized it. We didn't read all of them, but just wanted to mention Mike in that.
Very well learned from him. Thank you.
Wait, since we've talked about Mike Corman, one other thing he's done lately is he came to visit today during department head meeting, and we talked about the solar eclipse. And so getting some questions about, are we going to be organized? Are we going to put out any emails or suggestions on how the town's going to go about their business that day? So we are having meetings about that. Mike came and shared what he has learned from some of the meetings he's went to, and he's representing IU Health when he came today. So it was pretty interesting. Some of the things you wouldn't have thought of that you might want to think about before the April 8th date next year. So to be clear, we are getting organized, and we will talk about it at the meetings and put something out, maybe even in the paper. We will probably dovetail to what's going on in the rest of the county, and we're letting the police and fire kind of spearhead getting organized to begin with, because you know, when they said there was going to be eclipse, the first thing I thought of, oh, how are we going to play this, and are we going to have, you know, are we going to do this or do that or try to promote it? Really, I think our town's business is going to be to mitigate any problems that may occur. We may have 6-7 times the population in town during that weekend, and so we think all of our efforts are going to go to mitigation, emergency response, and other than that, I think everybody else will take care of the fun.
Well, the public is, a couple of people reached out to me. They want to make sure that we have no cloud cover so they can see it. So I figure we need to get planning on that. So Kevin, I'll delegate that to you. Yeah, just get one of those ladders and just keep going up until through the clouds. All right.
Thanks. Pardon?
Where did they stay?
Where did they stay? Well,
I've been to one.
all the hotels are already filled up. I think the campgrounds are filled up.
Fairgrounds going to do camping all through.
Yeah. So we're going to use the town hall as a command station, and we'll use it for a helicopter landing pad if we need it. It sounds like it's over the top. It's just the eclipse, but there could be anywhere from 400,000 to 800,000 people in town. Originally, we thought it might be 100 or 200,000, but I think that's real low ball on how many people are going to come to town. And just to reiterate, Wee Willie's parking lot is ground zero.
Are you serious?
I am serious.
Because that's like right by my
And-
store.
And so the totality will be 4 minutes and 8 seconds. Not that I haven't been looking at the internet, but I've been waiting 3 years for it. So everybody's going to get excited whether they like it or not.
I may need to order more glasses.
Yeah.
All right.
It's pretty serious business, I think, just because of how many people are going to be here.
Well, Mike also said it'll never happen again in our lifetime, too.
Well, I'm planning on living.
Oh, that's
longer,
right,
you
you're
know.
gonna get your head frozen.
Yeah. Okay. Denise?
I wanted to let everybody know the town received a grant from Smithville Community Foundation in the amount of $9,400 for portable sound equipment. It will also have a ADA component to it for those who may have different hearing issues or speech impairment.
Fantastic.
So we'll use that, you know, at Food Truck Wednesdays, festivals, whatever. So I just want to let everybody know.
Speaking of Food Truck Wednesday, is the new location worked out better, you think, than downtown?
Yes.
Okay. So next year, are we kind of, I know we're not even really have any firm plans, I'm sure, yet, but would it be your intention to keep it there by Marcy Jane Park?
Yeah, I think we're going to turn it into more of an event also. I talked to Mike about maybe we can get some cornhole boards, and by then the pickleball court should be set up. And
Maybe we can have a dunk tank, dunk the town council members.
so anyway, any ideas to be appreciated. We're probably going to start planning in March.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Sandy?
I don't have anything.
I do have one more quick thing I forgot to mention. Chris reminded me. The fire department was also awarded $43,000 from Smithville Communications Grant for turnout gear for our firefighters. So,
Thank you very much to Smithville.
yes.
I believe the police department are a recipient of the Smithville Foundation grants also.
That information, Zach Michaels has that information, and I'm not sure about the numbers, but I can certainly get them for you.
All right. Any council comments?
Yeah, I've got one. I want to congratulate Mr. Wells and the staff at Edgewood Band. Once again, they are state finalists.
Yep.
So this weekend, they will be going to Lucas Oil to participate and see where they wind up. They won state last year. He won states for winter percussion, and here we are back again. So congratulations to him and all the kids.
I love hearing them practice. They've been going at it. So, all right. So at this time, I know of no other business before the council. We're hereby adjourned.